featuring Sergio Gonzalez, the head football coach, athletic coordinator at Sam Rayburn High School in Pasadena, Texas. Coach, how are you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing well, doing well. Just excited to be on the show with y'all, man.
Awesome, Coach. We're excited to have you. Talk to us about who y'all have this week, Coach. Who y'all playing, when, and where?
We're playing Chavez High School at our home stadium, Veterans Memorial Stadium here in Pasadena, 7 p.m. on Friday. It's just it's an interesting game because it's my old school, so very interesting game.
Nice, Coach. What are the feelings that go into that?
For me, I mean, I guess the pressure is don't lose, but no, honestly, for me, it's not much. I think the kids get excited about it. Their kids get excited about it. Our schools are only like 20 minutes apart from each other. So our kids know some of their kids, follow each other on social media. So there'll be some banter going back and forth. And, for me, it's just trying to make sure everybody keeps a cool head. Last year, this game was intense because it was, I had just been at Chavez the year before. So, this year it's telling my kids keep a calm mind, cool head, and let's go take care of business.
Well, Coach, I've noticed that sometimes even when you have those close cities or the close teams like that, it's even tough keeping the coaches to keep cool. So how do you keep your entire staff and team cool?
I mean, I think they'll take their cue from me. If I'm hot headed or if I'm heated, I think my coaches get heated, so I got to learn to keep my cool and make sure my coaches take their cue from me.
Coach, there's a lot of feelings that go into a game like that, especially when you have relationships with players on the other sideline. Talk to me about, what is it like during pregame when the other players come up to you from other teams and, they're because I know you're a player's coach. I know players gravitate towards you and have a good relationship with some of those kids. So talk to me about what goes into that, Coach. How do you stay focused on your program, your team, but also maintaining positive relationships with the kids that you've coached before?
I mean, it's interesting. Last year this game, it was some emotions because when I took over Chavez, it was in a state of you know uncertainty. There wasn't any leadership from the spring up until the end of the year, and it's just one of those deals where it was just tight bonds, and they're still there. I still have some kids there that I'm very tight with. That they took it personally, took it hard when I left. Uh, but I just I give them a good luck, give them a hug, and we'll talk after the game for the most part.
Awesome. Coach, nobody really knows the struggle of coaching inner city schools. There's a lot of things that go into play. The struggle of the socioeconomics that go on with coaching inner city kids. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, Coach?
I think the big thing for me that I've noticed is, and especially where I'm at now, we're like on that border of suburb inner city, and you know, people want to say, parent involvement or lack of structure. That's not the case. Even at Chavez, we had some involvement. Had a dad who would always cook hot dogs and stuff for the kids. I think if they buy into the coach and they believe that you're there for the right reasons, they're going to do that for you. It's changing the mentality in kids. Um, when you haven't had a lot of success, it's easy to say, well, football is just secondary. I'm gonna go get a job, or I'm gonna go walk my girlfriend to class and be late to athletics or something. It's changing their mindset that, well, part of the problem is that you've bought into the fact that you think athletics is secondary. Like that's the big issue, is you have to make it important to those kids again and make them believe that if we do the little things right, good things are gonna happen for us. Unfortunately, when you go through a streak where you're losing constantly, or you feel like you don't have the resources, or you're playing schools with better facilities than you think, why am I even trying hard? There's no hope, but you got to find a way to give those kids hope, and you do that, in my opinion. I'm not gonna magically be able to build an indoor facility with my own money, but I make them feel like they're all stars, like they're college players every game day. Pregame meals, the way we prepare. That's the little things you can do to help build confidence in those kids, and a lot of it is just confidence.
Absolutely. I think one confidence plays a huge role in I for both me and Josh, actually, we both went from like B team middle school players to then having successful high school careers. But it would have been easy for us to stay lacking confidence. I think I'm very grateful to so many of our coaches that really helped to put in the confidence inside of us, even when at times we probably didn't have the confidence. Well, Josh maybe a little bit; he was always cocky, but I didn't always have the confidence of an athlete, and it was really coaches that brought it out in me. So that's awesome, Coach. Love that.
Coach, you are a very successful young head football coach. Coach, do you mind telling us how old you are?
I am 34. I'll be 35 in 2 months.
And you got your first head coaching job at what age, Coach?
32. 32 officially got the job. First season I had turned 33 at the end of the season. So
Coach, so being a brand new, 32-year-old head football coach running your very first program, talk to us about the application process, Coach, and the thoughts of applying for a job that most would say is not a good job, but you knowing the kind of kids that you have there, the kind of impact that you could make at an inner city school. Talk to me about the whole thought process of why you applied to Chavez. And then when you got there, what was the feeling like when you got your first head coaching job?
well, the process for me is, I've been through the ups and downs of it as an assistant. I've been 0-10 and I've been in the fourth round of the playoffs as an assistant. Uh, for me, it's having gone through those trials and tribulations, but also having been around good head coaches that taught me. Uh, you know, I was 0-10, and that head coach and I just had a conversation on Monday. Yeah, Monday about program and stuff like that. Uh, I learned from everybody that I've worked for. I probably did the unconventional thing and moved around that people say, you're supposed to stay in one spot forever and work your way up. Uh, I've seen where guys that did 15 years at one place got passed up at the end of the day. And I always told myself, I was going to be ready for opportunities. And, if they came, I wasn't going to tell myself no, because it may not ever come again. Uh, for me, it's one of those deals where you have to bet on yourself, but you have to be smart because with gambling, there's always wins and losses. So you could lose big. I took a DC job at 25. There were some things about that place structurally that bothered me. I left and took a D-line job at a very successful program in Fort Bend Marshall, and the school that I left, when we broke the 27 game losing streak when I was there, went 3-7, and I had a feeling they were going to be good, but it's just something that bothered me structurally about them that, I just didn't want to be a part of at that point. Nothing with the kids, just all structural. And then they ended up going 8-2 and then 9-1 after I leave. And I'm like, well, that's just part of the gamble you take. But could have been the DC of an 8-2, 9-1 team, but I look at the flip side of it. I kept my, my mental health, I kept my what I feel is important to me. So it's always a gamble. With Chavez, that goes back to that. That relationship at Chavez with that principal went back to that year where I was the DC at 25. He was an AP there, and relationships. A lot of the reason why I got the job, he's seen how I work. He's seen how I dedicated myself to kids, but he also saw my leadership skills as the girls' head soccer coach there, when I was the DC. We ended up district champs. Every year they make the playoffs at that school. They're just like a inner city soccer school, and every year they make the playoffs, but every year they get blown out in the first round. And he really enjoyed watching us compete. And in the first round of the playoffs, we're probably one of the poorest schools in Houston. We don't have bags. We don't have any. The girls are taking their soccer equipment in their backpack to the games. Um, we had a fundraise for new uniforms, and we're playing one of the richest schools in Houston. And how it goes in soccer, man. Money talks in soccer, especially. Uh, and we lost 3-2 in a game that they probably would have lost 15-1 or something like that years before. So took a lot of pride in that, and that helped set me up for the Chavez job down the road.
But you mentioned the importance of networking there in that story. I know I believe you're highly involved with associations, and I think you're part of the new association that just came out. Can you talk about how important it is to be a part of the associations, to be networking at these things, not just in that story that you just shared, but maybe some other stories?
Yeah, I mean, networking is everything. I tell people, your resume can get you into the building, but the networking, and if they know you and trust you, is going to get you into that seat that you want. Uh, you have to be able to get to know people, talk to people. Because at the end of the day, they're going to hire who they're comfortable with. Um, you know, there's some guys that'll interview for jobs with awesome resumes, but they're horrible at networking or don't want to get to know people. It's not. And some people misconstrue it as politics and all that. It's not so much politics. It's people want to know that they can have a conversation with you, that they can talk to you, they can relate to you. That goes a long way. Being a part of different associations, I mean, that's huge. For me, I had always gone to meetings for the Greater Houston Football Coaches Association. I'd always gone to meetings, uh, even when I was a young buck. That I'd go to the meetings, and honestly, I'd go for the free food a lot of times. But uh, and free other stuff. But you know, now it's crazy that I'm a head coach now, and this year's my first year as a director on that board. And I used to go to those meetings thinking, man, that's a legendary coach right there. That's a legendary coach. And now I'm in that room with them, and I feel like, man, I'm a nobody right now. I'm trying to turn the program around, and you know, I'm over here on the board of directors. So you just never know where that takes you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great to hear, Coach. I mean, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of legendary coaches up there, Coach. But we all look up to you, Coach. You do a great job. During a dark time for all of us coaches, you were every night, Coach, hosting what we call Chalk Wars, and so you were always the face. You were always the one running it, Coach. You gave everyone a platform. You gave everyone a light in the midst of darkness, and so we always all appreciated you very much. And I don't know if I ever told you thank you, but during those dark, lonely times, those Chalk Wars gave everyone a community to look forward to at the end of the day at night, when we could all play offense versus defense. And so that was always cool, Coach. So we appreciate you for that.
I
Coach, you
appreciate
talked
it,
about
man.
Okay.
taking the unconventional route. I've worked for head coaches that took the unconventional route and took opportunities as they came and became head coaches at a very young age. I've also worked for head coaches that did the traditional route and were longtime coordinators, longtime assistants, and finally got their opportunity to become a head coach. But you're absolutely right. There are some coaches that are still waiting for those opportunities, and those opportunities are not guaranteed. Could you talk to me now about how you as a head coach feel about your coordinators and your assistant coaches taking opportunities as they come, or do you? What is your mindset on that, Coach?
My mindset is just always be honest with me. You don't find out till you're in this seat that everything gets back to the head coach. Everything is back to the head coach. Uh, just always be upfront and honest. In my young coaching career, I've had guys honest with me saying they're going to interview places, and I've had guys that had already interviewed and came and said, "Hey, I'm going to interview somewhere," and I'm like, "Oh, you already were offered the job, so appreciate you trying to be upfront with me after the fact." Um, you know, it's just one of those deals. I always tell them, take the opportunities that are there for you, but be honest with me, just so I know in my mind I can plan and be ready for anything that happens. Is not to hold anybody back. I know some head coaches operate differently. I'll never hold anybody back. I'll never hold a grudge. If you're honest with me, if you come into my office and say, "Hey, coach, so and so in San Antonio or so and so in Dallas or so and so in the Valley has a OC opening, and I think I can do a good job. Talk to me. Maybe I can make a phone call for you. Maybe I know that person, or maybe I know somebody that knows that person. Just get you in the room. I can't help you unless you're honest with me. And then if you're not honest with me, it looks bad on your part. That it looks like you were trying to hide something. When I make sure I build a culture that there's nothing to hide. Talk to me, be honest with me, and and I'll help you get to where you want to go. Now, if I don't think you're ready, I'll be honest with you, but I'll still tell you it's still at the end of the day your choice. I'm not going to stop you.
That's great to hear, because I know I've worked at places where you're excited about an opportunity that comes up, but you're so fearful about approaching your head football coach and talking to them about, Coach, I just want to go for an interview. I just got a call. And so there's some fear that goes into that. And so that's great that you're open and honest, and all you ask for is communication, Coach. And I'm sure your coaches appreciate that very much.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
Coach,
Yes, sir. That's all I ask.
you just talked about building a culture of honesty in your programs. What are some of the struggles you've talked about coming in and trying to build a new culture at multiple campuses now? How are you, or what are the struggles of building a new culture in a place, and what are some things that you've done to make it successful?
I mean, the struggle is trying to break the habit of we've always done it this way, or we're not very good. Our kids, are just happy with participating. Well, yeah, they're gonna have that mentality when you make it okay. Uh, for me, it's just being myself and being consistent and being who I am every day, and making sure that I'm doing the right things for me on my end every day, that our kids see, like, yes, we're gonna be competitive. Yes, we're gonna be upset when we lose, but it's not gonna be the end of the world. We're gonna celebrate the wins. Um, we're gonna hire guys that want to be here, guys that want to do the right thing. I'm always evaluating. Um, I'm not one to say I'm gonna fire coaches or nothing like that, but I'm always evaluating, and I'm always making sure that our culture is safe. We don't have people that are, sucking the energy out of it. So for me, it's making sure that I'm consistent every day.
Awesome. Coach, talk to me about your proudest moment as a coach so far in your very young career. I know you have many years ahead of you, but so far, Coach, what has been your proudest moment of being a coach?
Oh man, proudest moment of being a coach. You talking as a head coach or total?
Just anything, Coach. What your most proudest moment?
Oh man, it was, and it's not even football related. It goes back to the girls soccer team. A lot of those girls had a lot of other issues that you think just boys deal with that. Parent issues and stuff like that. But I had a girl who her dad promised her that he was going to come to senior night, and always promised her, and he would never show up to games. And senior night comes, and sure enough, he doesn't show up again. And I ended up talking to her, and she tells me, you're the closest thing I've ever had to a supportive dad, and those things, those are my wins, man. Wins and losses, they do mean a lot. I mean, that has a lot to do with my job, but those kids, man, you never know the impact you make. And that young lady, we still have a good relationship. She's like a photographer now, so I think with her, I try to keep in touch with her because she might do our team pictures or something. So um, for me, the proudest moments are just like relationships, the little conversations. I think people get caught up these days I believe in representation, but I think people get too caught up these days in it. Um, Today I had I mean, not today, this year I had a young man come visit me that played for me 3 years ago. Uh, Obviously, I'm a Hispanic male coach, and he's a young Caucasian young man at UT, and him and I have a good relationship, good bond. Comes from a very good home, good parents, but he felt like he needed me in his life, and I needed him in my life. It's about relationships, not so much backgrounds, in my opinion. Are they sincere relationships? Yeah.
That's so important, Coach, because as all of us coaches who have coached before the pandemic and coaching after the pandemic, and we've seen the change of kids and the mindset shift. Um, it is so important to keep positive relationships with kids and to understand that coaching is, yes, our jobs are about wins and losses. And sometimes in some areas, you'll lose your job if you're not winning. But a lot of the most proudest moments are moments that happen off the field. When a kid asks you to, attend a wedding that you were very close with, and they ask you to be a part of their wedding, one of the biggest moments of their lives, and things like that. And so that's awesome, Coach. A lot of people naturally gravitate towards you because you're a relationship person and you are real. And a lot of times when you meet people, you get the fake in people. And we always appreciate you for just being real, Coach. And we have a lot of respect for how you are a players coach and how players naturally gravitate towards you.
I appreciate it. That means a lot to me. Like I said, it means a lot to me that I'm a young, I talk about representation, that it does matter, but you know, it does matter in the sense of, I know there's not a lot of people like me in the greater Houston area, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, where Hispanic head coaches, and I know in the Valley and Corpus we do have many that are heck of a good football coaches, but those opportunities up north are scarce, and I take pride, and I don't want to misrepresent, our culture, our people, our people in our coaching profession, and make sure that I keep a door open for the next guy, you know.
Absolutely. Coach, by any chance, have you seen the movie Flaming Hot?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Coach, what a great
Yeah.
movie. I just saw it about a week ago, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, this is a great representation of our culture.
Hmm. Well, and I like what he says in the movie. You're not just a janitor. You're not just a busboy. You know, it was a comment that was made. I was 16 years old working at Papacitos, and there was a dishwasher back there. We were both in high school. He was washing dishes. I was busting the tables, and one of the waiters, who was like 20 some years old, was talking crap to us. Talking down because we were beneath him. And it's something that I always remembered I said, but I don't know if it's something just came over me at that time. But now that I look back, I'm like, man, that was a good line. I said, it's a job. This doesn't represent who I am. And that it's funny because I still talk to that dishwasher. We're friends. And now he owns his own little ranch. He's got his own properties. I'm living my dream of being a football coach. And not to talk down, but that waiter's still Papacitos. And nothing wrong with that. But hey man, hey, I mean, you don't ever talk down because you never know where people are going to end up.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I take a lot of respect, Coach, in treating everyone the same, whether you're a custodian, whether you're support staff, whether you're assistant coach, coordinator, head coach. I think a secretary. I think everyone is just as important and just brings just as much value to programs, because it does take a village to run a successful football program. And so, kudos to you, Coach, and being able to reach out your dreams and being a head football coach. Coach, so talk to us about what inspired you to become an educator and coach. I would like to know the background story on that.
Uh, there's two guys that really inspired me. All my high school football coaches did, but um, Lee Martinez, my defensive tackles coach, and it's weird calling him Lee, but Coach Martinez, he's the athletic director of Goose Creek Consolidated ISD in Baytown, Texas, here in the outskirts of Houston. Uh, he wasn't just my D tackles coach. I mean, his nephew was in my grade and was my best friend. So I would see him on the weekends when I spend the night at Coach Martinez's nephew's house. They were my family. And uh, he was tough, man. I remember my first day on varsity, my sophomore year. I jumped off side. I was a D tackle. I jumped off sides. He said, "As fast as I gave you that jersey, I'll rip that dang thing off." He goes, "You jump off sides one more time, your ass is going back to JV." And I did not jump off sides again. uh, I just respected him because he was real. He was real. Like I think that's where I get it from too. Is he wasn't going to sugarcoat anything. Um, I remember one time there was a story that was confirmed to me through other coaches. We were 8-0, or we were 7-0. We were playing a team that was 5-2, but they had won the district like 8 years in a row. And one of our coaches was reading the newspaper. Back then they used to put the games in there, and like who to win by how much and all that. Kind of like how the Padilla polls and all that stuff do it. But one of our coaches said, "Well, it was good while it lasted, being undefeated." And Coach Martinez got up in the office and got in his face and said, "That's the problem, is you don't believe in our kids." He goes, "We're 8-0, man, or we're 7-0." He goes, "How do you not believe in our kids?" And I almost got into a fight over that, and that just hearing that story after high school, kind of it just tells you, when it's real, it's real. Because I was ready to run through a brick wall for him in high school. If I would have heard that story when I was 16, I would have freaking fought anybody that came in my way, for him. And then the second one was Coach McGee, Coach Dusty McGee. He was he was our freshman D line coach, and now he's a superintendent of Liberty ISD, which is outskirts of Houston also. And man, I mean, he's the one that reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, what are you doing, man? You're kind of not taking college serious. You're not, your grades aren't all that right now." He goes, "What do you want to do?" And I told him, "I don't know." He said, "Why don't you come out to a practice?" He was a DC at Laporte. So why don't you come up to a practice and watch practice and see what you think? I watched it. Uh, I enjoyed it. He said, "Hey, do you want to film the games on Fridays?" The Titan wide film will pay you $50 a game. I was like, "Hey, $50 a game. I'm in college. $50 a game sounds cool." Uh, and then it turned into me being at every practice and me getting on the bus and going to JV games and freshman games and all that. And it was just it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. They He's the one that really got me into coaching by offering that olive branch.
We just actually we met with another coach who had a similar story where he was in college, had no idea what he wanted to do afterwards, but his coach reached out to him and was like, "Hey, come to the office." And when he showed up to the office, he's like, "Let me walk you right down, and you're going to fill out an application right now, so that way when you graduate this May, you're on the staff." And he was like, never went to. He ended up being like a coach there. Now he's athletic director.
Yeah, yeah, man. I mean, your coaches still look out for you, man. Regardless, I think if they had a good relationship with you and you did the right things by them, they're gonna look out for you.
Now, I do want to ask the coach, did you ever have to go up in one of those construction to get the film at the right angle? Um,
No, well, so we had to play. This is Channel View. Now they have a state of the art stadium, but back then I had to climb to the top of the press box and film on the roof just to get the right angle.
so in college, they would at my college team, they had one of the freshmen always lived in two different dorms that had the perfect angle from the side of the stadium.
Yeah,
And one day that kid was sick, so we couldn't use his room. And they sent I was injured my senior year. They sent me up in one of those construction things, and they just put as high as it could, and I couldn't hack it. I went right down. I was like, "No, coach, we're not getting that angle
can't do
today.
it.
Not
Yeah,
today. I can't be up there. I'm scared."
yeah. I remember being on that roof and all it was like one bar going across. I'm like, this is really gonna stop me from falling over. I said, I'm not even getting paid well enough for this.
Oh man, that's awesome, Coach.
Now,
So
if you don't mind, Josh, I want to ask real quick.
yeah.
Now, Coach, I did hear recently. I think Coach Bettis was telling me um, that you actually grew up in the same little area that we happened to spend some time in while we were in Houston. And so I know Coach Bettis. He's inclined 405 before. I think I recently saw you do that on Facebook. I've only gone up to 365, so I want to know what did I do wrong? Because I was drinking that same water in that little area. What did I do wrong that I only got to 365?
Man, I mean, I tell people, I mean, what helps me too is I got shorter arms, so that does help a little bit locking out. But that means I need a spotter that can help me rack it. But uh, there's always pros and cons to having long arms, little arms. I mean, I don't know. I've always naturally just been able to be strong, and then once I started putting work into it, just the numbers started going crazy. Like I've had people ask me, "Will you train me, or how do you get to those numbers?" And I'm like, I honestly don't know. I don't know how to explain it other than I just lift heavy a lot and do a lot of pyramids and work my way up, work my way down. Uh, but other than that, I said it was God's gift, man, that I could be strong. What I lacked in height, He gave me in strength. So
Absolutely, Coach. Coach, while we're on the subject, I've worked with some staff, some older traditional staffs where they don't believe, you work countless hours and they don't believe in, coaches working out during the school day. They believe that you should just be watching film and, getting ready for practice plans and things like that. Talk to me, how important is health, Coach? Because I know, you had a health scare and thank goodness you're okay. And thank goodness, everything's all right. But talk to me how important health is in the coaching profession, because I know some of us sometimes we get into the grind of things, the meals, the getting late at night, going out to eat, and not staying on routine and keeping your workouts and getting the cardio that you need to get. Talk to me how important is health, coach, nowadays in the profession, especially in this heat.
it is. You got to take care of yourself. You got to drink your water. Um, you gotta eat right. For me, I still eat bad, but not as bad. And then if it's late, I'm not gonna eat. That's something me and my wife have made a commitment to. we get past 7:30. If we didn't eat before 7:30, yeah, your window's closed. So and we'll just call it fasting. But and it gives us a reason to go to bed early too. So for us, I mean, it's just making sure that you're taking care of yourself. Go to your doctor's appointments. You could say, well, I'll wait till the bye week. Well, bye week may be too late. You know, yes, this job is awesome. Yes, it's a great profession, but how are you going to help people if you're not alive? So take a day, go get your doctor's appointments done. Go get the colonoscopy, whatever you got to do. Take your days. That's what they're there for, and just always be in contact with your head coach. Let them know, but take care of yourself.
Coach, one of the biggest perks of working with you, I've heard that on the weekends, on Saturdays or Sundays, I'm not sure what it is, that you bring barbacoa and you bring Big Red, Coach. Is that still a thing that you got going on there with your staffs?
We've kind of chilled on the barbacoa this year, but I need to bring it back. We're gonna bring it back this weekend. We've done pizza and burgers and stuff like that, but yeah, you just kind of yeah, we're gonna do that tomorrow. So, but we still eat. That's one thing for me. Um, we have a few little leagues right here in the neighborhood that I like to get out to, and unfortunately, they all play on Saturday. So I hire staff that I trust, and I'll watch film throughout the week, but I let them put their game plans together, and we'll talk about it when I get back. I'll go watch some of the little league games, and then I'll bring lunch. I usually bring lunch back, so I try to
Nice.
take care of my staff.
Yeah, that's great. And it also just brings, just breaking bread together as a family. We put in all these hours together with your staffs, your coaches, and everyone has, a lot of things going on. But when it's finally able just to sit down on a big round table and break bread and just talk and hang out with each other, it's important, Coach. It
Mm-hmm.
creates a good bond, and you find out a lot of things about stuff that's going on in personal lives. And so that's great that you do that, Coach. I know you just had a newborn. So I know, is this your third child, Coach?
My
Second?
second
Awesome, Coach. Congratulations, boy or girl?
girl, so two girls.
Two girls. Coach, I don't know if you know this, but my brother just had his first child in July, and I just had my first child in June. I have a baby girl. My brother has a baby boy. So we're all, celebrating the
We're all in it
newborns. And
together,
so,
yeah.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a for us, we started over. My oldest is going to be 11 in January, so
Oh,
we have a big gap. So right now, it's like we're new parents. We're like, oh my god. I left I talked about had to go back to the house today, and I get there, and luckily my sister-in-law is rocking my baby to sleep, and my wife's just trying to get as much sleep as she can right now. She gets about 3 to 4 a day and 5 a day at best, and trying to make it work.
me and my brother were always the oldest growing up, and so we have a lot of younger siblings. So when we got to be 8, 9, 10 years old, we were there helping out, feeding and burping our little brothers and sisters. And so, are you looking forward to? Is your other daughter going to be helping y'all out too with that?
Oh yeah, yeah, she is. The only thing she says is she goes, I'm not changing diapers. I was like, oh yes you are, yes you are, yes
Oh,
you
that's
are.
awesome, Coach. That's awesome. Coach, one last serious question before I know you have a busy day. Talk to us, Coach. If you could go back to your very first year coaching with all the knowledge that you have up to this day, what would you tell yourself back when you first started coaching? What advice would you give yourself?
Don't what I would give myself advice. Let me see. If I go back now to what I know then, I would say my first year coaching, take time to teach the little things, and don't take it for granted. My first year coaching was a middle school job, so I was always frustrated because why didn't they understand this and why did but that's the beauty of it is they're learning and you're the key part of their development. So take the good days with the bad, enjoy them, smell the roses because life's gonna go by fast, and next thing you know, you're gonna be in your mid 30s, then you're gonna be in your mid 40s, then you're gonna be in your mid 50s, and they're calling you old, and then you're gonna be in your 60s, and they're waiting for you to retire. So smell the roses, enjoy it, uh, and just have a good time. Have a good time. Don't take yourself too serious.
Yeah, that's great advice, Coach. I know, back when I first got out of college and got my first first varsity job, Coach. I remember we did a middle school camp, and I was just not used to coaching middle school kids, and I was going berserk on kids not taking the right steps and false steps, and I was just losing my mind. But yes, that's great advice. Not to coach the little things, but to also not take things for granted, and don't take things so serious as a first year coach, because kids are going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. And so that's great advice, Coach, that you give yourself and everyone, anyone who is watching and watches this in the future. That's great advice for first year coaches that are coming into the game. Just be passionate about what you do, but don't take things as serious. Kids are going to make mistakes, and as young coaches, we're all going to make mistakes, and so that's awesome.
Hey, before we let you go, where can people find you? What can you tell us? Your Twitter, Instagram, any social media that you really love? What's your TikTok dance videos that we can see you do that?
Shoot, let me pull it up right now. Let me see. I always forget. On my Twitter handle or X handle is GONZ 5307. So at GONZ Gons for Gonzalez 5307. And then Facebook, if you type my name, for the most part, you'll find me, or you might accidentally find my dad. So, but other than that, I mean, so really, that's where I'm at. Is Twitter and Facebook. So
awesome, love it, love it. Well, Coach,
Coach,
thank you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Josh. Coach Bettis.
No, you're good. Go ahead, bro.
I'll just say thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're there in the grind every day with your kids, with your athletes, with your students. So thank you so much for taking the time and meeting with us. I look forward to next time I'm in Houston, maybe stopping by and seeing your program live in person.
No, for sure. For sure. You're always welcome. Y'all want to come check it out, you're always welcome.
Coach, we have a 360 challenge that we're doing. We've done about 4 or 5 coaches here in San Antonio in the Alamo City. We have a 360 challenge for you, Coach. Who in the greater Houston area do you recommend that we interview next?
In the greater Houston area? Well, I mean, obviously I'm gonna say Coach Ojeda. He's one of my mentors, but I think a lot of people get to know him now and get to know him. I would say a guy that's coming up that to get to know, I would say, shoot, Kendall Heineman, man, he's a good guy. Head coach at Caney Creek High School. He played his week 1. Really, really good guy. Really good person. Really good personality. Up and coming guy. I mean, he's got that place turned around. They used to average 0 wins a year. They're at 2-1 right now. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
awesome. Well, Coach, we're here with the head football coach at Sam Rayburn High School in Pasadena, Texas, Coach Sergio Gonzalez. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great talking with you. Good luck the rest of the season, Coach. Kick some butt. I know y'all will. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure.
Yes, sir, Coach. Have a good day, Coach. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.